It's February, new month, new budget. Let's get into it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. This is Life Well Spent. My name is Kelly, and on this channel, I document my financial journey. One of the things that I do on this channel is do my monthly budget, and this video is going to be all about my February budget. Now, that said, I have to say, I almost opened this video because it is actually February 2nd today. I'm filming on the 2nd, but the budget was done beforehand. I always make sure that my budgets are done before the month starts because I do a zero-based budget. I want to make sure that every dollar has an assignment before I actually get the dollars, and before I actually have to start paying for things. But anyway, I just didn't get around to filming it until now. And so I absolutely almost opened this video with well, it's Groundhog Day again. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, you should absolutely do something about that because you are missing out. But all right, without further ado, let's talk about what the plan is for February. Okay, so my income, for those of you who are not aware, I guess I should say, I am 44 years old and I work in public ed. So this is my standard income for someone with about, oh gosh, going on like 15, 16, 17. This is 18th year in public ed, I think. Okay. Anyway, my income from the day job is about $3,646. I actually have a better handle on it now. If you watched my January budget video, I was like, I don't really know because I'm going to start contributing to a 403B. So I'm not entirely sure what that's going to look like, other than I knew I was going to do $100 a pay. So I knew I would be getting $200 less, but I also knew that it would change. Well, two things. It would change what my taxable income was going to be. And because it's a new tax year, there's new rates and all of like that kind of stuff. So I knew that was going to make it change a little bit too. So anyway, it's $3,646 and some change. So I just rounded down. Not a big deal. $85 from my mom. That is, we don't actually have any more shared subscriptions. So last year she was paying me for the things that we were sharing. We don't have those anymore. We got rid of them all. So that is her $50 of that goes to my niece's brokerage account. She just gives it to me. I put it in. And then the remaining $35, we do share a cell phone plan. So that's her portion of that. And then, I hadn't been adding this money as planned miscellaneous extra income. And I'm going to do it this month, but we'll see. I might make adjustments. I'm not quite sure. This is essentially the minimum amount of money that I get from my high yield savings account. And I thought, realistically, I'm going to be adding that every month. It will adjust if rates go down and whatnot, but as of right now, that's kind of what's expected. So I stuck with that. I did not. I do plan on doing my taxes, but I'm really concerned that it's going to take me a while to get a piece of paper that I definitely need to get from one of the investment companies that I use. And so my original plan, if I had not needed this document, I would have for sure. It's not really worth a lot of money, I should say. So my Robinhood account, I had a what was I invested in? I had some shares of Neo, and I put $50 in my Robinhood account. They gave me some free slices or free shares of something, I don't know. And then I bought some Neo with it. So it didn't wasn't much. And Neo promptly tanked after I bought it. And it just kind of stayed there. And I thought, why don't I just take this money and buy some Palantir stock with it and at least try to recoup some of my money. So I will have I sold the Neo at a loss. And then I'm holding Palantir until I can I'm going to hold it for at least a year. So I have a long-term capital gain instead of a short-term capital gain. But still, I converted money in my IRA to my Roth IRA, from my like traditional IRA to my Roth. And I was like, every little bit is going to help reduce the amount I'm going to owe in taxes on that. So anyway, because I have that form, really, it's not a ton of money, but because I have that form, I was like, really need to wait for that. So I would typically have put kind of what I was expecting for my tax return, because I normally would be filing it right about now. I don't have all the documents I need, which means I can't finalize them. So I don't know what that's going to be yet. And so I didn't put it in. And I thought, and it sounded like the date that it was going to be available it was in like March. So I'm super not happy about that, but we'll see. We'll see if that changes. Maybe that's kind of the last point where it will be available. I don't know. Anyway, total income $3,781. My mortgage $647.09. That is principal, interest, and escrowed taxes and insurance and stuff like that. Electric $61.06. Not bad, all things considered. Natural gas $194.09. Super not bad. Super duper not bad, considering how effing cold it was the entire month of January. We had like a polar vortex or two, or I don't know, maybe it was like one that was the whole month long, but yeah, it was really cold everywhere, which meant the heat was coming out a lot. So pretty excited. I mean, I really anticipated that to be a lot higher. I don't know that it has ever been that low in January. So that goes to show, truly, about 3 years ago now. Yeah, maybe about 3, 4-ish. Yeah, I ended up getting a new furnace because when I got my furnace serviced at the beginning of the year, um, the guys that came to service it were like, "Hey, just so you know, this thing's in really rough shape. Like, you're like," pointed out a few problems and was like, it's okay for now. It's going to get progressively worse. And like when it actually fails, like you're going to be in an emergency situation to get it fixed. He's like, so I would just start thinking about replacing it now. And so I had their guys come and give me a quote, and I was like, you are out of your mind. I can't afford that. That's obnoxiously expensive. I had like maybe 2 or 3 people come in with quotes, and the one finally was somewhat reasonable, and I got it replaced. And they explained to me, they're like, listen, this thing is so old that like newer models are just more efficient, right? So they're more energy efficient. They're going to do a better job keeping you warm and, all this stuff. Like just full stop, just by virtue of newer technology. And he's like, plus is like, this thing is so old that for every dollar you're spending on heating your house, you are sending at least 50 cents straight up the chimney and out of the house. Like it's just not even warming your house. And I was like, oh my God. So natural gas prices jumped a lot in the last few years, but the equipment that I have now, the furnace that I have now, is so much more efficient that even with the prices jumping as much as they have jumped, I'm still paying less. So cool. It, probably in the long run, because I only have it on for like 5 months out of the year, it's not necessarily like it would take a long time to pay it back, to like, make up the difference for it. But oh well. All right. So, sorry, sewer $63. It's a flat rate. Water $18.97. Not exactly a flat rate, but it's like the minimum usage. So every once in a while I go over, but $20 is probably about the most. Garbage. It is actually a garbage month. So that's $42. I pay it quarterly. And February is one of those months where it gets paid. So internet, $61. That went up $3. It's not fun. Cell phone 6680. My mom and I both decided to just go with unlimited data because she's getting out and about more. I'm definitely getting out and about more, and it's just we're finding ourselves kind of going over a little bit, and we found a deal that was like if we were going to do we were on a 3 gig plan, and if we were going over 3 gigs, we would bump to the 10 gig plan, and it would be just about the price of this. So I was like, rather than just keep having to worry about dealing with that, why don't we just go to unlimited for the both of us? So we did. Groceries, $250 is the game plan. I'm going to try really hard to go through and eat a lot of the food that I currently have and try to really cut back on my grocery bill. It's been really hard because I feel like with the Trump economy and with tariffs and things like that, like and his idiotic ICE raids, um, I feel like food's going to get really expensive, and I am trying not to like go to the store and buy a bunch of stuff that I can kind of store long term, and to try to like defray some of those rising costs, because that's definitely what I did during COVID, and I don't regret that. But it does mean like it's a lot of stuff for me to store in a house that is an old Victorian and they didn't have a lot of storage. So anyway, I'm trying very hard not to do that. Gas, also $250. That's up a little bit more than I have been spending. I've pretty much only been spending about 150, but I have upped it with the expectation that I'll be traveling a little bit more in February and doing more skiing. And I'm an hour to 2 hours away from any ski resorts, so that's going to hopefully encompass some of that. House garden, $25. I don't really expect anything to like need to buy anything for that, so I just kind of give myself that wiggle room there. Restaurant, $75. I'm actually considering upping that in the future. My mom and I decided we want to take like one day out of the month, and go to some like neat, interesting new restaurant this year. I'm not exactly sure why we decided we wanted to do it, but we did. And like just go out for a nice meal and an interesting meal, um, and someplace new that we had never been. So with that in mind, I thought about it and I was like, oh, I should probably up that between that and trivia. But now we're only going to be going to trivia every other week, because our trivia people, like they trade off with another group and we just don't like that group that much. And I thought, I don't need to spend money here. I feel so bad about going to trivia and like not eating. The other night I didn't because I just was not like, I was still full from lunch and I was like, I just can't eat anything. But I don't like make a habit out of that. I don't want to make a habit out of that, because then you have a waitress who's like having to wait tables and like nobody's eating anything, and they don't make anything. So anyway, uh fitness, that's my gym membership, so $41.85. Personal, I put up to $250, again for ski purposes. Basically, I am thinking of going skiing at the end of February, and I think I might go up to New York, or Vermont, and have a fun ski trip. We'll see what the weather brings. You never know. I was going to go skiing this weekend, but it rained all day Friday. Didn't feel like skiing on ice any more than one already skis on ice in Pennsylvania. Miscellaneous, 150. Again, it was kind of that same spillover ski stuff. $100 to my niece's brokerage, $500 to my Roth IRA. I'm not currently contributing to my taxable brokerage. I did last month because I forgot to cancel the auto draft, but this time I remembered, and so it's not there. We'll see if I decide to do anything with it. As of right now, my next big money goal is to save up for a new car, or well, new to me car. It's going to be used more than likely. Um, and I really want to put enough money aside so that I can have it for that. Um, So yeah, that's going into a high yield savings account. And that's probably going to take me 2 years to save up. And so once I'm at that point, um, then I'll start putting back into my brokerage account because I am putting $200 a month in. Well, it's $100 a pay, but there's going to be 2 pays a month. The third pay, they don't deduct anything for. So anyway, the $200 a month is already going into a 403b. So I'm already kind of covering that, making sure I'm saving $1,000 a month that I was doing last year. So yeah. All right, plans for savings. I'm going to do $150 into my medical fund. Last year at some point, I realized when I went to the dentist, probably, that I didn't have enough money set aside for my dental care. So my max out of pocket with my high deductible plan is $2,000. So in my head, I was like, "Oh, I just need the $2,000 in that sinking fund." And then I went to the dentist and was like, "Oh crap, no, I need more money in there because 2,000 is just my medical. 1,000 is my dental." So I'm going to work on having that squared away by July because my insurance year goes from July 1 to June 30th. So subscriptions, 1528. Realistically, wait a minute. That should be 1527. That's because I can't count, apparently. The whole point of that was to just make that an even $1,000. And now I have an extra penny to spend somewhere. We'll put it there. All right. So let's really just chop it off to an even 1,000. Be done with it. Giving / Nittany Lion Club is $17. Car insurance, $59. I will actually pay that out this month. In fact, I should probably do that as soon as I'm done with this video. Nothing in the car repair because that's topped off. Gift fund is $213.87, which now that I made it 87 will give me $289.50, which is kind of more than I had planned in January. And I have not filmed my January wrap-up video yet, but when I do, I'll talk a little bit about what I did in my sinking funds. Went a little nuts, if you ask me. So $100 for my garden. I actually will probably only put $100 in there next month yet, because come April is when I start buying things for my yard and garden. $50 into the travel fund. That will change if I actually get my tax return in the month of February. I will probably put the tax return into my travel fund and get that topped off. Or possibly split it between my medical fund, and it really just depends on how much it's going to be. I think I got about 2,000, a little over 2,000 or a little under 2,000 last year. I converted about $3,200 in a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, so I'm going to have to pay taxes on that. Yeah. I don't regret having done that, but I do wish I would have thought about the fact that now I'm lowering my taxable income, so like maybe this year was a better year to do it, but oh well. I wanted to have it done. Clothing, $100. Christmas markets, $80. That's $20 a week for a trip, which I honestly don't know if I'm going to take now. Like, I'm a little weirded out about the FAA and travel with all of the idiotic cuts that our current government is insistent upon making. I'm more than a little terrified, truth be told, because you have people who are in power who do not understand the function of government. And that's the bottom line, right? I don't really mean to get political or anything, but like, we hear this argument all the time that like the post office doesn't make any money, the Vista, that, all of these things, like they don't turn profits. Put business people in power. They'll make profits. Governments provide a service. Like, they're not out to make a profit. That's not the point, right? If you could make a profit and provide the service at that same level, then governments wouldn't have to do it. right? We have this argument all the time that like, oh, the free market can fix everything. It'll drive costs down. And like, okay, sure, maybe a purely free market, but we don't have one of those at all. I mean, we have an oligarchy more than anything, but we use our tax dollars to prop up a lot of things for better or worse, but like I don't want a private company that's not really beholden to anyone except its stockholders. um I don't want private companies making decisions that influence how safe something is, right? Like privatizing the FAA is about the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life. Privatizing, the like people are in a lot of trouble if planes can't fly, right? Like there's some things that I'm totally okay with the government being in charge of. Like not that they don't make mistakes, right? But their bottom line is to provide this service to the best of their ability, whereas that's another reason why, side note, I believe in universal healthcare, right? Like you have companies, insurance companies that exist to make a profit, and like you cannot provide a service and have that profit model being like what's driving something like insurance, right? Because in the end, the people get screwed. The little guy gets screwed, right? In the end, when Boeing makes all the planes and they're only worried about their profits, they've got doors flying off their planes for crying out loud. So, like, I just don't hold with this notion of like, we'll just privatize everything. Like, I think that's amazingly stupid. Um, and so yeah, I don't really think it's all that safe to be flying on planes in America. I don't think it's going to be all that safe. I mean, I feel like obviously this is a bit of an overreaction within this first week, but I kind of just sort of made me think like, oh, wait a minute. He's wreaking havoc everywhere. There's no way there isn't going to be something impactful down the road that like you will be able to trace. That's because this guy did this thing. So anyway, I'm toying with the notion of like driving to Toronto and flying from Toronto, or driving to Montreal and flying from Montreal so that we can go. But otherwise, like, I don't know. We may not be going. We're going to have to, I know I'm not buying the tickets anytime soon. We're going to have to see kind of how things are going. Health and fitness, I'm putting $100 into that account. That's to pay for a personal trainer, which no, I have not found yet. But I would like to have some money set aside so I have enough to kind of get myself going. Ooh, and then $100 into my new car fund, which realistically, I am participating in the Alliant Credit Union Ultimate Opportunity Savings Account. So if you put $100 a month in for every month of a year, once you hit your 12th month of putting the $100 in, they will give you $100. And so I was counting that $100 as part of my emergency fund because last year that's what my goal was. Um, and this year I don't need to put the money as part of my emergency fund. So I was like, well, I guess it's going to be my new car fund. So I am now calling it that's what that money is. It'll be there until I will probably plan for more in the future, but at this point, it is going to be there for that purpose. So, anyway, that's my expenses for the month of February, at least my plan for my money for the month of February. And we'll see how I do when it comes to the end of it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.